Now, Tibet's Prime Minister in exile is making his first visit to Australia.
Dr. Lobsang Sangay is meeting politicians and students and will speak at the National Press Club on Tuesday, and he is with us in the studio this morning. A very warm welcome to Australia.
Well, thank you very much for the warm welcome, because weather is quite cold here.
We needed it. What are you hoping to achieve? This is, what, a week-long visit, so fairly short. What are you hoping to achieve out of it?
Well, I'm going from Melbourne to Canberra, Sydney, and a quick stopover in Brisbane to thank old friends and meet new friends, but also reach out to the government and the public at large to inform them about the tragedy unfolding in Tibet. 42 cases of self-immolations where 42 Tibetans have set themselves on fire, of which 30 plus have died, and the continuing repression, which ought to end. So that's the main message I've come here to convey.
When it comes to your meetings or your attempts to influence the federal government, what stronger action would you like from the Australian government?
Well, the Australian foreign minister himself has said to ask the Australian ambassador in China to go to Tibetan areas where there has been self-immolations to find out what exactly is going on, so that he could report to the Chinese government and the Australian government, so that we could find a peaceful solution through dialogue to end the crisis in Tibet, which is a win-win proposition for both Tibetan and Chinese people.
You must find, though, with China now such a major trading partner for so many countries almost dependent on China for economic growth. Do you find governments around the world are sort of finding it difficult to provide you with the support you need, as well as balancing that relationship with China, when they make it so clear that they won't countenance any sort of form of independence for Tibet?
Yes, I think there's some reluctance, and it's understandable. But what we often say and believe is that business rights is important, but human rights is equally important, because people of Australia fought for this principle of democracy and human rights, and the moral aspect of foreign relations. So as much as that one should have business relationship with China, but human rights ought to be protected, because otherwise we are not commodities that you can sell in the market. We're a human being. We have conscience. We have values. So these are the things that the Australian leaders and the international community ought to support, because Tibetans have invested in democracy and nonviolence for the last many decades. If we are not supported, then essentially, one is conveying the message that democracy and nonviolence are not worth investing. So that is a sad message, not for Tibetans, but for generally other marginalized groups around the world.
You're now out there advancing the interests of Tibetans. What role will the Dalai Lama now take? Is he very much taking a back seat, given the attempts to sway world opinion?
Well, he has always been in the front seat, So he's our most revered leader. He's a global statesman, who advocates interfaith dialogue, compassion, peace, nonviolence around the world. And as a Tibetan, he continues to speak for Tibet and Tibetan people. And my role is to provide political leadership and political voice to the Tibetan people. That has been his vision. And what we seek is middle way, which seeks genuine autonomy within China and within the framework of the Chinese constitution. So in that sense, it is also in the best interest of China. So that's the message I'm continuing to spread.
And how difficult do you find your job being in exile in terms of trying to end some of these very difficult scenes, as you say, these tragic self-immolations that continue?
Well, I think my job description is difficult. I think very difficult one. But I'm on the right side, I think. There's a saying, the arc of justice is long, but it bends towards, arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. And I'm in the forefront of one of those, movements where I'm trying to bend it towards justice. And I do believe it will bend towards justice, and our day will come, and with the help of people in Australia and the leaders of Australia.
Dr. Lobsang Sangay, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Michael.